Hi, welcome to this SQL tutorial covering an introduction to variables. A variable is an object that we can create in SQL to store a piece of data, and then we can use the value in our variable in other queries and pieces of SQL. I want to show you how we create variables, how we can use them, a few examples of their use, and also the rules behind the creation and execution of variable data. So on screen you can see I've got three pretty straightforward selects. Each select is returning the top four lines, or for top four results only, so that we can see them all nice and clearly on screen. Each of them are doing kind of the same job, so they're going to a different folder here, but they are returning the top four values of type sorcery. Now let's imagine I want to change the type to be something else. So I want to change it to be instant, so I'll do that. I mean, I can do it pretty quickly. I can copy that and paste it, and if I run that using F5, there's the results. I mean, it's pretty straightforward to make those changes, but let's imagine we have 30 similar bits of SQL. Suddenly making that change is quite time consuming. So what I want to be able to do is make the change once, and for it to be made everywhere. And we can do that by creating a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to hide the results so that I've got a bit more SQL to play with, a bit more SQL window. And I can hide the results by going to Window and clicking Hide Results pane, or I can press Ctrl-R and then the results disappear. They're only hidden. If I press Ctrl-R again, they come back. Anyway, I'll press Ctrl-R. So let us create our first variable. Now, in order to create a variable, you need to use the command declare. Then we need to give our variable a name, and variables must begin with the @ sign. And for this, what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable for our type column here. So let's just call it type. We can call it whatever we like, but we'll call it type. And then we're going to need to give it a data type. So is it going to be text? Is it going to be a number, a date? In this case, it's going to be text, and we're going to give it a data type of varchar 10. We haven't done anything just yet. All we've done is declare a variable. If we can still run this SQL, it hasn't kind of seen any difference yet because we've done nothing with the variable. So let me just press Ctrl-R again. Let's just give this variable a value, and to do that we type set. Now we start typing our variable name beginning with the @. When we do that, SQL knows that variable exists because it's been declared above. So it says, oh, do you mean @type? Yeah, I do. So set @type, and then we give it a value. Now our text variable has got the value sorcery, and we can use that now. So if I get rid of this, now we can say select from my table where folders this, and ftype equals, and we start typing our variable name, and it will say, do you mean @type? I do mean @type. So let's do the same down here. And we can run this, F5 to run it. We've got 3 results, exactly the same as they were before, but now if I change my type text to be instant, if I run this now, they are now instants. So that's pretty good. I mean, you know, it saved us a little bit of time by having this variable, so we can just change it at the top here. Let us do another example. Let's think about, instead of being text, let's think about it being a number. So this will work with any data types, but let's just do an example of a number. So let's say where sum value equals 6. And I'm just going to copy that. So right now, if I run this, which I will, it's returning the top 4 values where the sum value is 6. Our variable still exists, but we're not doing anything with it anymore because we've got rid of the reference to @type in in our queries. So it gets created at the top here, but then nothing else happens with it. So let us change this now to reference a number so that we can use it for this column here. So let me just change it. So instead of being at type, we'll call it at summon. Again, we can call it whatever we like. Give it a data type of int, which is a whole number data type. Now we've got this red underline. Now SQL says, oh, I don't know what at type is. I don't recognize it. And that's true. At type doesn't exist. We haven't declared it anymore. We've got rid of that declaration at the top. So it doesn't know what that is. So let me just fix that by saying, oh, instead of at type, I now mean at summon. Now, if I try to run that, we're going to get an error. And the reason we get an error is because our data type is a number data type and we're trying to put text in, and that just won't work. That doesn't make sense. You can't put letters into a number data type. So let us then change that to be 6 as it was. And then we can go down here and we can make our script, our code reference our new variable. And we can run that. And we can change that to 7 and we can run that. Or we can change it to 5 and say greater than. And we can run that. Now it's really, really important to note something about variables. Variables only exist, in this example here, variables only exist in the script that's running them. So I've got a declaration of at summon. I've given it a value. I'm able to do that because it is declared above, so I can give it a value and I can use it here. However, if I highlight this, all that's going to do is run these lines here, these highlighted lines. So it's not going to run the top two. So when I try and run that, it's going to give an error because it doesn't know what at summon is. Because the variable only exists in the bit of code that is executed. So it only exists. Right now, at summon doesn't exist generally. I could open up a new window and I could say set at summon. It doesn't exist. It doesn't know what at summon is. It only exists in the piece of code that is executed. So if I highlight all of this, what SQL is doing is it's saying, right, first of all, I'm going to create this variable. I'm going to assign it a value and I'm going to use it here. When the script is finished, SQL gets rid of that at summon variable. It forgets about it. So that when I try and just run these bits of code here, SQL says, hold on a minute, what is at summon? I have no idea what you're talking about. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I hope that kind of makes sense. One last thing I'll show you is you can do select at summon. So if you're unsure what your value is, I mean, you can see your value here, but we're going to go through other examples in another video. But if you're unsure what the value of your variable is because you've got a procedure or a piece of text that's 400 lines long, you can at any point do select and at summon, and it will return for you the current value of your variable. So I can say set at summon equals 8. If I do select at summon, if I run this, logically what it's done is it's created the variable here, it's assigned it a value 5, it's returned that value to screen here, then it's reassigned the value number 8, and then it's returned that value to screen here. So at any point, if you're unsure what the value of your variable is, you select in your variable, and then when you execute your code, it will return that result to screen. That's the end of this video. I hope you found it helpful.